Welcome to Mini Miles Adventures. Some journeys start quietly. This one started here, with a full tank and a road heading south. The drive started in Iowa, heading south on Highway 71. There was still snow on the ground from earlier in the week. The road was clear, but the fields were still holding onto the snow. The further south I went, the less snow there was. The white patches slowly gave way to bare ground and open fields. Nothing dramatic changed, just small differences mile by mile. From inside the car, the changes felt even slower. The road stretched ahead with almost no traffic, just the sound of the tires and the land moving past the windows. Every now and then, a single car would pass going the other direction, and then it was quiet again. Drives like these don't feel busy, they feel steady. After a while, I turned onto J20. Silos stood above the fields, and cattle gathered in the distance. Out here, no one seems to be in much of a hurry. Before long, I caught up to a tractor, moving along at its own pace. Out here, you share a road with whatever is already on it. A few houses stood near a group of large grain silos, almost like a small industrial pocket in the middle of open country. The road shifted again. I turned onto Highway 48 and followed it for a while, until it ended and connected with Highway 59. From there, the drive settled into a steady rhythm again. Not long after that, I turned onto Iowa Highway 2. This part of the drive felt different right away. Highway 2 is one of Iowa's scenic byways, and even in winter, it has a certain character to it. The road curves gently through the landscape instead of running straight across it. The trees were bare this time of year, their branches thin against the sky, but the shapes of the wood still followed the hills. Without the leaves, you could see farther into the land than usual. After a while, the fuel gauge started getting low, so I pulled into a gas station. Sometimes a stop like that becomes a natural pause in the drive, a chance to step out, stretch for a minute, and reset before the next stretch of road. After a while, the route turned off onto gravel. I was looking for the interstate corner, the place where Iowa, Missouri, and Kansas meet. But the directions slowly became less certain the farther I went. Dust started rising behind the car as the tires settled into the loose surface. Out here, the land feels less defined. Long stretches where it's not always clear how far the road goes. Pavement finally came into view. I never found the interstate corner, but the miles still counted. The tires felt different on pavement again, quieter, steadier. A pair of signs came up ahead, South 67 and East 136, small reminders that the road was connecting back into something more familiar. The state line comes quietly along this stretch, just a bridge and a sign marking the change. Before long, I crossed into Missouri. The road continues the same way it did before, but little by little, the surroundings began to shift. More houses started appearing along the roadside, spaced closer together than before. The quiet stretches between towns began to shorten. Soon, the road carried me into St. Joseph, Missouri. Places like this feel like a natural pause in a longer drive, a chance to slow down and move at a different pace for a while. St. Joseph grew as a river town along the Missouri River and became an important stop for travelers heading west in the 1800s. Driving through the streets, the buildings feel older and more established than the farmland outside the city. Moving slowly through streets like this feels different from highway driving. The pace drops and the miles are measured in blocks instead of distance. After cycling through town and seeing a few of the streets, the road began to open up again. Not long after leaving St. Joseph, the road crossed into Kansas along the Veteran Memorial Bridge. Crossing a state line rarely feels dramatic in the moment. The road continues the same way it always has, but little details begin to change if you pay attention. From the bridge, the route followed Highway 73 for a while, before turning west onto 159 and then onto West 9. As the day came to an end, the road led into a small town that felt almost still in the evening light. And that was the end of the first day. The next morning started before the sun was fully up. The road began again on gravel, heading out across the Teter Rock. Early light spread slowly across the hills as the car moved forward. The sunrise reflected across the windshield and the side windows. Gravel roads always change the feel of a drive. The speed drops and every moment becomes more deliberate. Small stones bounce underneath the car as you move forward. After a while, I pulled over to take a short break. Sometimes stopping becomes part of the experience, just as much as the driving does. Walking a short distance from the car, the sound of the wind becomes clearer, a steady movement across the land that never seems to stop. Dust from the gravel roads had settled across the wheels and along the back of the car. The rear window and bumper still held a thin layer of loose dirt that told part of the story of how far the drive had already come. Wiping the glass clean again felt like resetting the view for the miles ahead. Sometimes you can tell how far you have traveled just by looking at the car. After a short pause, the road continued toward Teter Rock. Still gravel, still quiet, with only the sound of tires moving across the surface. Eventually, the rock appeared in a distance, small at first against the horizon. As the car climbed the last stretch toward the hilltop, the wind became stronger. Teter Rock stands alone on top of this hill, a large slab of limestone set upright against the sky. Stepping out of the car, the wind caught the door immediately. Pushing against it hard enough to remind me to hold on. The monument was placed here in the 1930s by Joseph Teter, a local rancher who wanted to honor the early settlers. Up close, the surface shows its edge. The texture of the stone is rough and uneven, shaped by both tools and weather over the years. The view opens in every direction. Rolling hills stretch outward with no clear boundary, changing shape as the light moves across them. After some time on the hill, the drive continued south again. The gravel road carried on for a while, longer before eventually reconnecting with pavement along K99. The return to pavement always feels noticeable after gravel. The sound softens, the vibration settles, and the pace becomes smooth again. K99 runs quietly through this part of Kansas, cutting through the Flint Hills one stretch at a time. Driving through the Flint Hills feels different from most farmland in the Midwest. Much of this land was never plowed because the rocky ground made farming difficult. The route led towards Skyline Scenic Drive. Skyline Drive is narrow and paved road that follows the ridges above the surrounding valleys. Unlike the straighter highways below, this road moves with the shape of the hills. The surface is mostly packed dirt and gravel, uneven in places but well suited to slow driving. It's the kind of road that feels natural to explore in a small car, quiet and steady, with each turn revealing another stretch of the Flint Hills beyond. The road continued through the Flint Hills, but for this journey, this felt like the right place to pause. The miles from Iowa to the Flint Hills had unfolded gradually, farmland giving way to prairie, straight roads turning into curbs, and pavement turning into gravel and back again. Thanks for joining us on this journey. This is Minimal's Adventures, seeing what's possible with less, 1 mile at a time.